Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the newest episode of the Theater Enthusiast podcast. Gosh, that was so dramatic, but I feel like it works. It's a Monday.
It works. We need it. We
We
need the
need it. We're
energy.
both hydrating. It's hot out. You had a
Okay.
busy day yesterday, you know. Anyway, so I'm so excited to welcome our next guest. I didn't tell you this before we started, but I have
Okay.
a thing about certain people's vocal stylings, and I love a really like rich voice. And as soon as I heard you open your mouth to sing, I was like, I must have this person on my podcast because
Oh,
you just have this
wow.
beautiful richness to your voice that I love so much. And so
Thank you
I'm so
so much.
excited to like further embarrass you more about it on this podcast and talk to you about
Well,
it.
cut to me literally hugging
Yes,
myself because I'm
hugging.
like, yeah, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
wow. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Don't worry. I'll convey more. But anyway, she's currently the standby for the role of Jersey in Hell's Kitchen, which I've seen her perform in. I've heard her sing it, as we know. She's incredible in the part. Please welcome Kelsey Kimmel. Yeah, woo woo. You can cheer. Whoa, whoa.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah,
Yes.
Kelsey Kimmel in the house.
Hilarious.
I also just want to say, I know that you did the national tour of Pretty Woman, excuse me, which we'll get into because that is my guilty pleasure musical. And I also say that because right behind you is the Pretty Woman poster.
It is. There it is.
So, yeah,
Pretty Woman the musical on tour, signed by every person who
yeah,
did the who I think I did the tour with.
yeah.
There it is. Pretty Woman. We'll talk about it.
Oh, we will. Like I said, it's my guilty pleasure musical. My friend one year for the holidays got me like because I don't really stage door anymore. I did stage door when Adam Pascal was in the show, which we can get into.
Understood.
We can get into.
Understood.
But she got me she got me a signed original cast Pretty Woman playbill and she framed it for me. So I think
Aw.
it's hidden in my bookshelf of tchotchkes. But I do have hanging up my signed Andrew Scott Vanya playbill. So that's like the only
Ooh, that's a good one.
yeah.
Wow. I
He's a
love Harry.
presence of the pod. I mean, I drink out of my hot priest mug, so he's always been
Ah, the
yeah.
hot priest.
It says Neil on the back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Fleabag is one of my favorite series of all time.
Oh, I like the second season better, mostly because Andrew Scott is in it, and
Yeah, there you go.
what a horn storm he started. And
Yes.
now it's like my life, it's like pre Andrew Scott and post Andrew Scott,
Understood.
you know? Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah, so many similarities. It's so funny. Anyway, so let's get back to you. Where are you from and what got you interested in performing?
Oh, yes. So I was born and raised in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So it's about like a 3 hour drive from the city. And the amazing thing about that is that growing up, I was able to come to the city. My mom would take me in, on a Saturday. We would drive in, park at Port Authority, go see a matinee, grab dinner, and come home. It was like the perfect day trip. Um,
Do you remember
I
what your first Broadway show was?
Yes, it was The Lion King.
Very nice.
6 years old, sat second row orchestra.
Wow.
And the thing about that experience, I mean, I remember it. I have not seen The Lion King since. My mom and I have recently been talking about how we want to go back um, because it was so special for it being my first one, obviously. But because it was so long ago, we're like, we really want to go back because I remember it being so fantastic. And I mean, the puppetry and the state, I mean, everything about it is like truly magical. And but what really stood out to me was the kids. I remember looking and like obviously there I am sitting in the second row orchestra, a white girl watching, these like incredible artists tell a story about the African savannah. But I just remembered looking at people my age up on stage, hitting these lion poses and singing these songs and being like, wow, like they're kind of like me. And I grew up dancing. Dance was my first love and sort of my gateway into performing and being on stage. My first time on stage, I was 5 years old with my dance studio on stage at the Hershey Theater in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is a very common touring venue. Um, Beautiful, beautiful theater, but that's kind of how it all happened. I mean, I I loved to sing from a young age. My mom has plenty of memories and stories of me singing along to the radio and picking up words really, really fast. And wow, there might be a voice in there. So just kind of nurturing that throughout my entire childhood. Like that's really the memories that I have of falling in love with music and performing. But it all kind of happened separately. Um, and then when I got to high school, my freshman year of high school, I just wanted to try out for the spring musical because my I went to public school in Harrisburg, PA, and there was a really good music department at the school, really, really great music teachers, a really good local director who would come in and do the musicals. That was kind of known in the area. And I just feel really lucky that I got to be exposed to all of that because it truly, it was one of those things where, like, once I got bit by the bug, I could not turn back. I wanted to be a scientist. I wanted to go to school for like biology or archaeology or some sort of like crazy thing like that. And that's literally what I had set in my head. And then once I started doing musicals, I was like, wait, people can do this. Like you can go to school for this. You can this, I want to do this. And my mom just always says that once she saw how fervently I fell in love with this thing, she realized, well, I can't fight this in her. So I'm not gonna. And I'm very, very thankful that she did not and that I had a supportive parent. It's scary. I understand. You want your kid to be able to support themselves and all of that. But I think that she saw a sort of perseverance and determination and just a drive, an overall drive in me that was like, she's gonna make this happen. She'll figure it out. I believe in her. And that was what led me to like want to do performing both recreationally and professionally.
Mhm.
And I'm just really, really thankful for my upbringing. Like I said, the proximity to the city, the teachers that I had in high school,
Mhm.
um, the people who encouraged me, the people who didn't encourage me, the things that make you want to work even harder.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's pretty much how it all came to be separately and then all merged together in like the holy grail that is
Mhm.
musical theater. It was Guys and Dolls. Guys and Dolls, everybody, is the thing
Cool.
that made me want to do. How funny is that?
Were who were you in the show?
I was Adelaide. I was a
Nice.
little 14-year-old, like truly just because I grew up dancing and I liked to sing. I
Mhm.
had never acted before or anything like that, but I just was like, let me audition for this and maybe I'll be a hotbox girl. Like that would be so fun. I would get to like dance on stage at my school. Like how cool is that? Ended up getting Adelaide and I was like, whoa, okay, maybe I can do this. Other people think I can do this. Other people believe in me. And it just was the most, I can't even, still to this day, can't even put into words how magical that experience was. And getting to do that fun, silly little show that is Guys and Dolls the musical.
Yeah. So I would like to say you also do have a dance reel on your website.
I do have a dance reel.
I ask this of every person who taps because I cannot do, I have like two left feet when it comes to like choreographed dancing. Would you be able, if we ever ran into each other on the street, would you be able to teach me how to do a time step? Could you
Yeah,
teach that to a
absolutely.
person? Okay,
Yeah, absolutely. I actually used to sort of teach like the dance studio that I went to growing up my whole life. Sort of once you got to a certain age, you sort of got to be like a teacher's assistant, if you will. And
yeah,
so I would assist the teachers a couple nights a week once I got, you know, probably like 13 or 14 years old, I want to say. And tap class was one of the classes that I did help teach. So I would feel confident teaching someone a time step.
great. So if anybody wants to learn a time step from you, just
Yeah,
do a DM
absolutely.
and be like, hey, I saw you in Hell's Kitchen, also heard you on the pod. Heard you can teach someone how to do a time step. Let's go.
Heard you have a dance reel on
Heard
your
you have a
website.
dance reel. It's really
Hilarious.
great.
Yeah,
Listen, you have to have it out there so people know, you
I,
know?
people know.
Yeah. I'm sure it doesn't come into play that much though with Hell's Kitchen.
Not at all.
But you got some moves in there.
Oh yeah, a couple at the very end, sure.
Yeah.
A couple.
During
It's
Empire
so
State of
funny
Mind.
because I really was like I was a pretty serious ballet dancer. Like that was my jam. Like I was a point ballerina. That was like what I did. That was what I loved. And I mean, I still do. I have a lot of love for the art form of ballet and the discipline that it gave me. And
Yeah.
um, I always loved it when it comes to different dance styles. I love how, honestly, I love how black and white ballet is. There's like, technically speaking, a right and a wrong.
Hmm.
And it's easy to see, it's easy to tell when, when someone is executing the right and the wrong. It's like the thing, Michael Bennett would talk about like in every audition, I look at people do a double pirouette and I can tell if they have technique or not. Like it's really as simple as that.
Yeah.
And loved ballet so much. Don't do it anymore, but that's one of my like two truths and a lie almost anymore because when I tell people that I was a ballerina and that I was as serious about it as I was, they're really surprised just given the types of jobs that I have done. I have not danced in my, I mean, six is probably pretty, yeah, Pretty Woman in six might be like the most that I've danced in my like professional
Well, you
job
had like a
because
cha-cha moment in Kinky Boots on tour with us.
exactly it was the cha-cha, there was the little tango moment. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the thing, I've been hired for like the pop rock musicals, the big sings, the like those are the things that I have gotten to do. Maybe someday in my career I'll get handed a big dance role. I look at what Caroline Bowman just did in Smash, and she's known to be same thing. I would say like she's known as an Elphaba. She's known as a Norma Desmond standby in the Sunset Revival, and then she goes into Smash and she's doing all of this really, really difficult, insane choreography and really rose to the occasion. And that kind of thing really inspires me. Um,
So
maybe
we're
I'll get,
manifesting it. We're putting it out there
I
and seeing
guess
what
now I said
people.
that out loud and I'm scared. Is that what I actually want? Did I just say like
Well,
I just
listen,
made it
it's
up?
you can always
Woo!
put an audition out, and sometimes, a lot of performers say you got to do it if it scares you.
Exactly. I do believe that. It's, if it scares you, that probably means that you should go for it. People ask me sometimes, like, do you have any advice for going outside of your comfort zone or things like that? And it's like, yeah, I mean, to go outside of your comfort zone, you have to get uncomfortable.
Yeah,
If there's a fear involved, if there's a, oh my gosh, what if I'm bad? What if I suck? What if this doesn't work out? Like that probably means that you should go for it.
yeah,
And if you've risen to any other occasion ever in your life, chances are you're capable of doing it again now.
yeah,
So just try.
yeah. And again, it's that adage of like, you don't know unless you try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, what brought you to Shenandoah Conservatory?
Oh my gosh. Once I knew that I wanted to go to college for musical theater, I started looking at schools that I thought would be good fit. It's one of those things, speaking of like you don't know until you try. How do you know that something's a good fit until you like go and see it and experience it? And I personally made the effort with the help of my mother who drove me everywhere to visit all of these campuses all across different states. I didn't do a unified college audition. Like I went to every physical campus. I think we visited 12 schools in my junior and senior year of high school. I auditioned at, I applied at eight or nine, and I auditioned at like six or seven, I want to say. Um, anyway, I sort of had, you have this idea of what you want in a program, which is like so insane to ask of a 17 or 18-year-old kid. But I knew that I wanted something really concentrated. I I liked the idea of schools that had a conservatory program that just felt very like integrated and focused and like I was going to go to school to do the thing that I was majoring in, musical theater. That I wasn't going to be loaded up with gen eds, and not that general education is not important. I just felt very precious about my time and my energy. And Shenandoah, I loved that they had a BFA program. I loved that they were a conservatory program. And the kind of cool thing about it too was that it was out of state. Like for me, for a kid who was going off to college, I really wanted a campus experience. I had visited like NYU, and I had visited University of the Arts in Philadelphia, which rest in peace. That university no longer is, but the experiences that I had with UArts and NYU was like, of course, these are great schools that are fully immersed in a city. But I always knew that I was going to end up in a city. I always knew that I wanted to move to New York.
Mhm.
And I sort of felt like I was going to have that experience down the line, and I really wanted a college campus experience. And so Shenandoah had that. It just was checking a lot of boxes. And then when I went there to for my audition day, um, I mean, I had no idea what I was doing auditioning for college. Another adage is like nobody knows what the heck they are doing.
I am
No,
nodding my head yes so hard. I mean, for me, I went into college so green,
yeah,
so green.
no. I literally had done four 4 years of my public high school's shows. And I was really, really serious about doing them because I wanted to build my resume because I knew that I wanted to go to college for musical theater. And I did a couple community theater shows, but there was nothing like I did not have a coach. I did not go to any sort of fancy, school to like ready. There's so many programs now, and like social media also helps connect people with coaches and, get your college audition material. No, I pulled open those like the musical theater anthology for mezzo sopranos. There were these, I don't even know if they exist anymore, but they were those literal sheet music compilations, and there were volumes upon volumes of all of them. And I literally flipped through and picked songs that I liked to sing, and I had no idea what I was doing. And when I started auditioning, I scheduled all of my college auditions. I remember very, very early in the year. I feel like the height of college audition season is kind of like January to March. I had done half of my college auditions by the time early December rolled around. Like I was in there. I was trying to check them all off. And the first couple that I had gone to were extremely terrifying and humbling experiences. And I could sense that it was going to be a lot harder than I had even anticipated. And I had done, I think, four auditions. I was in a hotel room in Pittsburgh with my mom. I was auditioning that weekend at Point Park University and Carnegie Mellon University. And I had done my Point Park audition on the Saturday, and the Carnegie Mellon was the next day on Sunday. On the Saturday, the Point Park experience, I don't know, I don't remember if I bombed it. It just like overall like was not a great audition day for whatever reason. And I came back to the hotel room. I was really defeated. And I had actually made the decision to not apply to Shenandoah. I had applied to 8 schools and had scheduled auditions at all 8. And again, things were just like not going very well, or at least I sensed in my, hard on myself artistic way. And we got back to the hotel room, and I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, I think I need to apply to Shenandoah. Like I need another option. And I really, really liked that school. And I don't really know why I decided to not apply in the first place. Like I need to apply there. She was like, okay, great. Open your computer, fill out the application, like do it. And so I did. I got like the final slot on the one and only audition day that they had left available to me that would work with my schedule, which was early December of my senior year. I went. It was an amazing experience. The professors and the staff were like so accommodating and excited about the prospective students, and they were really, really great with the parents. My mom had a great experience. It just all around like that fit, that thing that you're like, whatever idea I had in my head,
Mm.
everything just like checked out. And they accepted me pretty immediately after my audition. And again, it just was like, it all just felt very, very right. And that's where I ended up going to school for 4 years. And I really loved my experience there. I had a great time with classes and, production shows that I got to do while I was there. Great relationships with the professors, a lot of whom I'm still in contact with today, which is really special. Um, all around, just very, very lucky, very grateful because college can really be so tough, especially in the artistic realm. Um,
Kelsey, you don't even have to tell me because I
yeah,
have been very vocal on this podcast. I had a very rough senior year of college. I
Mhm.
don't even like talking about it because I get so angered by it. So,
Totally.
and I was an acting communications major, so mostly I was in, the acting part of the school. So it can be rough. I
Yeah.
100% understand.
And my experience wasn't without flaws. I will say that. But overall, like personally speaking, in terms of the literal horror stories that you hear from people about things that were told to them, really degrading things about their talent, about their body, about their type, about their well, you're only going to do this kind of job, well, you need to lose this amount of weight, like just like horrible things that we say to young people
Yeah.
that we need to understand and take responsibility for. Those things stay with us forever. We all have at least one educator in our lives, at least one.
Hmm.
I'm being extremely conservative, that has said something to us in our lives that we will literally hold on to forever because it was said to us in our most impressionable
Yeah.
time of life. And I don't know what adults get off on doing that. It's like you are here to nurture and encourage and teach and help grow this like
Yeah.
plant of an artistic child. And why are we stunting it?
Yeah.
Why? If you're passionate about what you do, like why as a teacher, So all of that to say,
Mhm.
so many terrible experiences out there from people far and wide. Some of whom I know so many people who are like, well, because of my experience in college, I don't do this anymore. What kind of successful educator can like go to bed at night being like, oh yeah, I'm raising the next generation of Broadway stars and half of them stopped
Yeah.
because of me. Okay, wow. We're roasting. So
Oh no,
like
it's fine. We
I said,
can roast. But no, I'm curious though, because the industry still has a long way to go in a lot of ways, but it has gotten better in the past blank year since I was in college, and I'm sure you were in college and what have you. And so these things that these people have said to you, the losing, I don't know if they said to you lose weight, but you said that, so that's just an example that I'm using. Do you
Mhm.
feel that that's still a factor in within the industry to get roles? Or I mean, I think that there are some roles that people who are a certain size feel like that's supposed to be a certain size role, but it's gone to a different sized role. So, I mean, again, it still needs to be worked out, but do you think it's gotten a little bit better?
It's tough. I want to say yes, but I also want to say no, and I think the answer is no for some rather insidious reasons. I think that people in power, in terms of like the air quotes, gotten better.
Hmm.
I think we just don't talk about it as openly because there are things that we have learned as a people through, this HR meeting and that 2020 social media lesson and, whatever online forum we were plugged into at one time or another. I'm just using like the royal we. Um, we learned like, oh well, that's not good to say out loud. We can't talk like that anymore because people get upset.
Hmm.
So I think that there are a lot, you run into industry professionals, here in the city who sometimes are referred to as like, oh, well, that person's really, really old school. And when someone says, oh, well, that person's really, really old school, that's typically, code for like, well, they really like their leading lady to look a certain way. And, it's like there's still this kind of barrier, brick house thing that I think we are trying to dismantle of like, all types of bodies and figures and faces and colors and hair types and all sorts of things that come down to like, oh well, they have this, that's almost a mark against them for why they can't play a role. Why can't they play a role? Why can't they tell that story? Why can't a person who looks like that not be a romantic lead? Why can't we watch them fall in love? And so to answer your question, yes, I want to say it's getting better because I want to say that, that a younger generation is with a new way of thinking is coming into power and is coming into opportunities that allow them to sort of, break these barriers down. But at the same time, there still is a lot of that older, more old school way of thinking that is definitely going into how decisions are made. It's just not being talked about as much. So it's good and bad because it's like if you are a person who goes into an audition and doesn't get the job and you're not being told like, oh well, they didn't get it because we think that their size is wrong. Their body is wrong. Like whatever, like horrible thing. Like, okay, so you're not hearing that, but it still could be said, which is just
Yeah.
kind of it's all a mind game. We all fit. I'm a big believer in there's room at the table for all of us. We just have to make the room.
Yeah.
And I think that that goes with women in the industry, that goes with sexual orientation, that goes with body type. Certainly, it's just like there's room for all of us to tell our stories and for all of us to exist and for all of us to succeed.
Yeah.
We just have to be open to making the room. It's like literally as simple as that. But I do think, unfortunately, there's still decisions that are made that lock people out.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to hopefully a happier, not as like aggressive topic as we've gotten into.
Listen, we will go in. We will
We
go in.
could go in, we
Yeah.
go out, we go
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yes, but yes,
Yes.
we
So
got.
after Shenandoah University, what happens next? Did you do a showcase? Did you get an agent? Did you book Kinky Boots right away? Like, let's talk about all of these things.
Yeah. I love talking about this because people when you get to a certain point, you get to a point in a career where you have like enough clout, almost, you have enough credits, you have enough success, and people are like, oh wow, this person must have just like always been immediately successful. People look at me and they're like, oh, Kelsee, she did Six, she's in Hell's Kitchen on Broadway. Yeah, well, there was many versions of me that existed before those things.
Yeah, listen, you got a lot of you have readings you did a lot of regional, you
Well,
did
yeah, and
the
and
national
there's also
tours.
there's also a lot of downtime spent. There's
Hmm.
also a lot of time spent simply without work. And so after I graduated from Shenandoah, we did not do a proper New York City showcase at the time, which the Shenandoah that I graduated from, that's like the biggest, if I'm being completely candid, that's the biggest mark against the program that I attended. Shenandoah now does a showcase every year in New York City for agents and casting directors and managers and industry professionals, which is amazing. But I was sort of the last graduating class who didn't get that. And it's tough. It's that thing of like you want it to be better for people who come after you, but at the same time, like it just made things for my graduating class and prior, it made things a little tougher. So we did a situation where some people would be invited to our campus. So we had some agents and casting directors who came to our campus and spent a day with the seniors, and that was cool, but it didn't reach the same volume as like, we're doing a showcase in New York City on this date and this time. Send an invitation blast. Please come and see our graduating class. So, all of that to say, I moved to New York City right after I graduated from college. I did not have an equity card. I did not have an agent. I did not have any sort of representation or union affiliation or anything that like made me important, made me feel, like
Yeah,
you look at the things in the industry that's like, oh, well, in order to do this, you need that. And in order to have that, you need this. And I literally moved to New York City with my best friends from college. So I had a wonderful support system and a drive to like figure it out and make it happen. And I recently found, my mom actually found and brought it to me here in New York City. I found my audition log from when I first moved to New York City. And I literally, the day after my official move to New York, I went to 4 auditions.
wow.
Like I said, I'm here to make this happen. We're hitting the ground running.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, for a while, it was just me going to EPAs and ECCs and open calls. Um, I didn't have, a job or a rehearsal schedule or anything. And that's so jarring when you come from college, when you come from such a structured schedule. This is what my Monday looks like. This is what my Tuesday looks like. This is when my 8 a.m.s are. This is when my rehearsals are. And then all of a sudden you're just kind of cut loose and you have to make it all happen for yourself. But I really wanted to do a cruise ship job, and I really wanted to do a national tour. Those were like my big, of course I wanted to like be on Broadway, but I was also like one step at a time, let me do these things, and I really wanted to travel. So In the first year after I graduated from college, I booked a cruise ship job on Holland America Line, and I got to travel the world and save a lot of money, and I had the most amazing time. And then after I did that, I came back to the city and did it all again. It was, still no equity card, still no agent, auditions, auditions, auditions. Um, and I just made sure that I kept showing up. I was like, again, I moved here for this thing. It's not going to happen without me trying. And truly, when people ask for, again, like so many times people ask for advice. Oh, how did you get your agent? Oh, how did you book your first big job? Oh, and it's like, I literally went to every audition that I could find that was any sort of a fit for me.
Yeah.
Regional theaters, workshops, readings, off-Broadway shows, weird experimental Shakespeare, like literally anything that I could get in front of people. And then that is what sort of started to connect. It's like casting directors got used to seeing me at EPAs, waiting all day sometimes in the holding room until they would see, the people from the EMC list and the non-equity folks. And but it was like, oh, Kelsee, we see her a bunch and she is always prepared. And that's the kind of stuff, the consistency and the repetitive nature of it. Um, and that's what eventually led to me booking Kinky Boots because I started to develop a really good relationship with the casting office that was doing that. It was a non-equity tour, and they cast a lot of non-equity tours, and so those were projects that I was going in. They were sort of my first real lifeline.
Mhm.
Again, before I had rep, those were the people who knew me, and I always say, like, when you keep showing up, eventually something is going to shake loose. And the thing that shook loose was the Kinky Boots tour. And I all of a sudden got an offer for my first national tour. And I was like, wow, like this is literally what I envisioned for myself. This is what I want. And I did it. Like I figured it out. There's no formula, there's no code to crack. It's just kind of like insanity. And but that came, let me see, that I booked the Kinky Boots tour a little over 2 years after I graduated from college. So, it took that long of
Yeah.
and it's for some people, and that's not even that long for some people's stories. Like it just until I got my first like noteworthy Broadway affiliated job.
Hmm.
And the cool thing about that tour is that while it was non-equity and the tour had been out for a while, this was I did that tour. I joined it at the end of 2018. Kinky Boots opened on Broadway, I believe, in 2013. So the show had been like
Yeah.
long run and established at this point. But the team, like the team, Jerry Mitchell's team was who was setting this tour. So that was amazing, for someone like me at the time and at any time to be like, oh, I'm working on a Jerry Mitchell musical. Jerry Mitchell is involved. He's like around, and I'm working with his directing associate and his choreography associate, and I'm working with the Broadway music director and the Broadway music supervisor. And, these are the people that I get to be in the room with. Um, Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah. So you also went out because, it's a cult classic musical, let's be real. Rent. You were Maureen in the 20th anniversary tour. So I feel like that was like a big deal.
That was
Yeah,
it
let's talk
was.
about it.
Yeah,
How did that come into your life?
that came into my life again because the same casting office who did the Kinky Boots tour, who was getting to know me from all of the auditions I was going to, was doing the Rent tour. And I had been in for the Rent tour before. I'd been in for I had done a callback for Maureen in like 2016 when the 20th anniversary tour first went out.
Mhm.
That was the funny thing. I did like the fourth year of the 20th anniversary tour.
So you were like the 24th anniversary.
Right. Almost the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rent opened on Broadway in 1996. 2016, they launched a 20th anniversary tour with the same direction, Michael Greif's direction, the original music supervision by Tim Weil, the original choreography by Marlise Yearby, the original costume design by Angela Went. All of the original like big gun people came together to make this tour happen, and it was pretty flashy and like pretty amazing. And who doesn't? I'm sorry, like who doesn't love Rent?
Yeah. I
Um,
sometimes forget I went to not to be like all name dropping and everything, but I somehow got to go to that town hall event that honored Lin-Manuel Miranda,
Oh
and
yeah.
they sang Rent songs, and you forget how incredible the harmonies are in that
Oh
show.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was really, I mean, it's funny. Like I talk about Guys and Dolls as like my sort of gateway drug to musical theater because it was the first thing that I did. But, then shortly after I started doing that, like I'm in rehearsals for my freshman year musical at my high school, and I'm
Mhm.
like, what else is there? And naturally, my next two obsessions became Rent and Wicked.
Yeah. In my
And
head, I was like, she's gonna say Rent and Wicked. I think
Rent and
those are
Wicked.
I think those are rite of passages for like any high school student.
Of course. And I mean, I just was obsessed with Idina Menzel's voice. I was like, how does somebody sound like this? How does somebody sing like this? My mind was blown. And of course, naturally, I wanted to do that. Like, I wanted, like, Maureen became my first ever dream role without me really knowing what the term dream role was. It was like, this is so freaking cool that there are people telling these stories and singing. And you know what I mean? Like at 14 years old, you don't even like grasp really like how monumentally important a show like Rent was to the world. But yeah, when you hear that Rent is coming back in any capacity, going on tour, doing any sort of a revival or a remount, it's like, yeah, how do I get in there? And I had auditioned for the first year of the anniversary tour. I had an appointment, like a callback appointment for Maureen, and it didn't work out, and that's okay because it came back around for me when I was ready for it. And
Yeah.
the really cool thing about it was I essentially booked the Kinky Boots tour because I had gone to an open call for the Rent tour, and I went to the open call for the Rent tour years after I had gone in for my Maureen appointment. And a couple days later, I get an email in my inbox that says callback for the Kinky Boots tour. And I'm like, okay, well, I auditioned for Rent, but like, cool, get a Kinky Boots callback. The old adage of you're rarely ever auditioning for the thing that you are actually going in for. You never know what else you are auditioning for. You never know what other projects
Mhm.
are on the table for these people. Do the Kinky Boots tour. We're sort of wrapping up the Kinky Boots tour. Casting is out at whatever city we were in because it was close-ish to New York. And I'm in the lobby after the show, and the casting director comes up to me and is like, "We need a Maureen for the next year of the Rent tour. Like, you need to audition." And in my mind, I was like, yeah, I need to audition, like please. But I tried to play it cool as much as I could, and I just said like, yeah, absolutely, I would be thrilled to. Like, please let me know. So, at the very tail end of my time with Kinky Boots, that's how I booked Rent. And that was a big deal. I was just, no pun intended, over the moon. Um, at the fact that I got to do it, that I was gonna get to be Maureen Johnson, and that I was gonna get to do this show, and like what the heck, it was such a dream come true. And the fact that it was, a principal role on a national tour, like all of those things were just big dream come trues, dream come trues. And that's kind of how it all happened. It was like I booked Kinky Boots from a Rent open call, and then I booked Rent from doing Kinky Boots. It all kind of like circled the drain until it connected.
Well, when did you get your equity card?
I got my equity card when I did the Pretty Woman national tour, post-pandemic. And when I did Rent, we ran into the pandemic. My company was furloughed by COVID. Um, we played our last show without knowing that we played our last show on March 1st, 2020 in Denver. And we were actually supposed to go to Tokyo for the month of March.
Oh, wow.
And just because of the way that things were progressing in that part of the world with coronavirus, we were among the first theater professionals that I knew at the time, and still that I know whenever we share our stories of like, oh, what were you doing when the pandemic hit and how did you cope? Um, we were among the first people, if not the first people, who actually got laid off because of the virus. Again, just because of the nature of our schedule. And the Tokyo presenters and our producers and our general managers and everything just pulled the engagement for the month of March 2020 because we didn't know what was going to happen. Aside from like people getting sick and like the liability of like what would that mean? We were starting to see border closures. We were starting to see people get stuck. Like it just all was, it would have been it could have been disastrous. So we thought on March 1st, 2020, that we were going on a 6 week layoff and that we just, weren't going to Tokyo and okay, we'll see you all in Dallas in April when we pick back up. And of course, lo and behold, we know how that ends. So um, for a while, I was like, well, I'll just go back out with the rent tour, like how amazing I have a job. And then, of course, it was just like things got, kept dragging on and on and on. The rent tour did survive the pandemic. It did go back out, but I ended up booking the Pretty Woman tour, and that was another dream come true because it was like first national tour, equity card. Jerry Mitchell was setting it, so that was cool too because I had worked with, like I said, I had worked with his team
Yeah.
on Kinky Boots, and so I knew them. But Jerry actually, like, very, very hands-on, directed and choreographed and reset Pretty Woman on our company and sort of revamped the show from what we had known it to be on Broadway. And that was how that all happened. We took that show out literally as everything was coming back. We started rehearsals, I think, in August 2021, and we started teching in September 2021. Like it was boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom fast. But yeah.
How is it working with Adam Pascal?
Oh my gosh, what a dreamboat he is. He's a lovely, lovely person. Like cannot even, there are not enough words in the dictionary to
Yeah.
encapsulate the kindness and the fun that and just like the person to person, like he, whenever like he's so present with everyone, and that is really important, I think, when you meet like celebrities, like
Yeah.
hello to anyone who was obsessed with Rent at all, like, and yeah, I remember being really floored at how generous he was with his time and attention.
Mhm.
But he yeah, he sounds exactly the same. That was the other thing that was so mind-blowing is like I was listening to him sing the score. Pretty Woman the score is written by Bryan Adams, so it's like rock score. And he's bringing that famous Adam Pascal, Roger in
Oh,
Rent
I love
rock
that.
tenor
Yeah.
vibe to Pretty Woman, the freaking musical. And I just couldn't, he sounds exactly the same. Like that instrument is
Yeah.
cared for and well preserved.
Mhm.
And so that was really, really, really wild and really cool. And I told him, I think on like our first day of rehearsals, I went up and I introduced myself and I said, I just have to say, when the pandemic hit, I was playing Maureen on the national tour of Rent, and he just thought that was so cool. And we got to exchange, over the time that we were on the tour together, we exchanged lots of stories. And I also just thought that that was so cool because there could be such a there's it would be so easy for someone like him to look at someone like me and be like, oh, tut tut. Like, here's this little girl who like thinks she has Rent stories. And he really just, I don't know. I don't even know if he like knows that he's doing it, but I'm so thankful because he just like puts himself on your level.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, that's amazing. I had a similar experience too. And then all of a sudden we're like sharing stories about what the show means to us and the people that we got to do it with. And how our bodies were affected from doing a show like that night after. You know what I mean? Like how freaking cool. I love the guy. And I've seen him recently around the city a couple times at some events and everything. And he's just always, every time he sees me, Kelsee, oh my God, big hug. And he's just like everything. People say, don't meet your heroes, meet Adam Pascal. How's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Like I said, I don't really stage door anymore, but he was like, I mean, yes, Rent, but like my deep-rooted love for Adam Pascal. I mean, I have a deep-rooted love for two people. He's not one of them, but my love for Adam Pascal really started with like Aida.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think that's when I like realized who he was. And so when I was in eighth grade, my best friend at the time got me one of his CDs, his Model Prisoner CD. So I went to see Pretty Woman with him in it, and one of my best friends came with me, and we went to the stage door, and I met him. And the only like frame photo I actually have out, like I said, is in my tchotchke bookshelf, is a framed photo with me and Adam Pascal.
Ah,
He signed my Model Prisoner CD, and afterwards we went across the street and I just started hysterically crying.
I understand.
Yeah, because there's a list of people in my life. I'm like, I just need to meet this person, and he was on that list. So I'm like,
Mm.
I've met Adam Pascal. Like, I mean, there's other people I would like to meet, but he was definitely for years like one of the top people. So
Yeah.
I always tell that story of like, there's some people where you have very big reactions to after you meet them, and
Yeah.
he was one of them.
Yeah, I understand. I
Yeah,
understand that, like you said, just big reactions after you meet them.
yeah,
Um, it was really wild to watch him at the stage door when we were on tour because again, like
mhm,
we were just coming back from the
yeah,
pandemic. Um, everybody was on very high alert. Like, what
mhm,
does this mean if it starts to spread in our company? What if we're back into a
yeah,
shutdown situation? Like, we were scared. Like, plain and
yeah,
simple, we were scared. And people really wanted to meet Adam Pascal at the stage door, naturally, as you can understand and relate. And
yeah,
he stage doored. He would come out in a mask and like he would tell people, people would want to take pictures with him and everything. And he would just always say, like, you can take your mask down for the picture, but like I'm gonna leave mine up because I have to stay healthy for my job.
mhm,
Um, but he met, and talked to everybody, and it was just yes, like you said, the rent thing, but also the Aida thing. Like he is such a heartthrob,
yeah.
and people just wanted to
And I
listen.
mean, he
I'm
even
a
played
piece.
Shakespeare in Something Rotten.
He did. I
You know
saw
what?
him
Oh,
at
you
that. I
did?
saw him at the Hershey Theater in Hershey, Pennsylvania. That tour came through my hometown when he was doing it. Rob McClure was doing it, and
Hmm.
yep, we saw it. And I remember telling him that too. Oh my gosh, that's right. You just like reminded me of a memory I didn't know that I had.
Yeah.
Fully saw Adam Pascal as Shakespeare.
Yeah. It ought to be the bod. Just like,
Yes.
yeah, I'm just excited because he just like does shows like you wouldn't expect him to do. Like they
Hmm.
just announced he's doing Jesus Christ Superstar somewhere.
Yes.
I don't know if
And
he's playing Jesus or if he's just in it.
he had, I remember he was supposed to join the Jesus Christ Superstar tour. They were doing the 50th anniversary tour. It might still be out. I'm not even sure, but
I just remember like JC from NSYNC was supposed to do something with Jesus Christ
he
Superstar.
he was supposed to do the I think he was supposed to be Pontius Pilate in
Hmm.
the Jesus Christ Superstar tour when the pandemic hit. Um, I believe it was Pontius Pilate. But yeah, he was like he was when we were telling our stories of, as we all do, like, oh, where
Yeah.
were you? What were you doing in
Yeah.
March of 2020? And he was like, yeah, I was in Cleveland, Ohio, or wherever we were, and I was rehearsing to be in the Jesus Christ Superstar tour. And then all of a sudden we get a call one day and it's like, you got to go home. So he never actually debuted in the show. But I mean, yeah, that doesn't surprise me that he would still chase that. He would be fantastic in so many things in that show.
Yeah.
That voice.
Right. You need to do when you do another night with Kelsey Kimmel. He needs to be a surprise guest.
Oh, yes. I'll call him up. Come
Yeah,
on,
you're
Adam.
like, what's up, Adam Pascal? I'm doing 54 Below or Chelsea Table and Stage, Green Room
Yeah.
42 you can go back to.
Yeah.
Like, come sing with me. Whatever. What would you sing with Adam Pascal if you had the
Oh my
opportunity
God.
to?
I didn't know I'd be put on the spot.
No, it
No,
just came
I
to me,
make jokes.
Kelsey. The question
I
just came.
understand. I understand. I mean, like, could we sing Rent, Adam Pascal?
Whatever you listen, this is your fantasy question. Whatever
Could
you want
I
to
be,
sing.
could I be Mimi Marquez and could we sing Another Day?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Or what you own. I would sing what you own. I don't know with him, but I would just sing that
Ooh.
with someone.
Yeah, that would be good. What you
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be Mark.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Or you can do Take Me or Leave Me with him. Have him play Joanne.
I would prefer that one the most. I want him to be my Pookie,
Yeah,
100%.
I can see it. I'm here for it. So next time you do your own One Woman show
Yeah,
at whatever venue,
it's
I'll get a
decided.
ticket and just wait there to see if
Yeah,
Pascal makes an appearance.
yeah, absolutely.
It's gonna be
Done.
great. So I was gonna ask something and it brain farted out of my head. So I guess we're just gonna talk about six now.
Hilarious. Love it.
Yeah. I will say that I was trying, so I don't want to say like fandom because the word fandom I feel like can have a negative, I don't, I'm not going to say it correctly. Negative, when people hear fandom, they might think it's in a negative way. And I don't think Six is that. But Six has a lot of like really incredible, they have a very wonderful fan base.
I do.
So, and you have such a history with Six, doing it on tour twice and doing the Toronto production, coming to Broadway with it. So before we get into that, I just want to talk about the fan base and what has it been like for you interacting with these fans? I'm sure even after, your Six journey has ended, and who knows, you could go back. Um, how has it been like for you being one of the queens of Six and interacting with all these wonderful people?
It is really wild because there is such a vast fan base, like you're saying, and I mean, it reaches all sorts of people in all places and
We're
ages
on
and
the like Six fan wiki, by the way.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that like so many people get like pages and profiles that are made for them with all of their facts and what roles they did and what dates and what productions and um the main thing that I take away from the Six fan base and what I think makes it so important is that it is a lot of young people. It's a lot of young girls, but a lot of young queer people, just like very, very impressionable, yearnful folks.
yeah,
And I don't take that lightly at all. I think it's really, really lovely and important. And the fact that we have some sort of a like calling to be a part of like these young people's obsessions and I mean, and again, like I hear what you're saying, and there's a lot of delicacy that's needed to talk about this kind of stuff because along with being young and impressionable and obsessed with a musical, like all of us have been at some point in our lives,
100%.
can come a lot of just, boundaries need to be established and all of those things. But um, the fact that like I come out of the stage door at Hell's Kitchen after people have just seen me play Jersey and they're like, "We saw you as Catherine Parr in Costa Mesa, California in 2023." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh," like that, it's so amazing to have something that can and will follow you
Hmm.
and something that people are interested in and something that people want to talk about.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there are so many people who would just like want to relate to the art that they're consuming, want to feel like they fit in. And Six is one of those shows because Six is it's a show for like the everyman. It's a show for the unsung man. Toby and Lucy, the writers of the show, literally wrote it when they were in at university, and they wrote it, I believe, like as their thesis project. They wrote it as a school project. And the reason they wrote it and chose the subject matter of the Six Wives of Henry VIII reimagined as pop stars is because they literally wanted to create a show that was for their friends who felt like they didn't get a lot of opportunities or didn't get any opportunities because they were different or othered or female or non-binary or some sort of thing that didn't fit in or there wasn't room for. And this is what I mean when I say like there's room for all of us at the table if we make it. Toby and Lucy quite literally made it. They made the room. And they opened this whole world of this 80-minute musical with these incredible songs and these crazy costumes and gave people a platform who otherwise might not have had a platform.
Yeah.
And again, that's the thing that the fan base I think really, really relates to is like all of these queens exist in all of us,
Hmm.
and any one of us can be any of these queens. Um, so all of that to say, the show is really an amazing thing to have gotten to be a part of at all.
Hmm.
And the fact that I got to be a part of it in so many capacities. And like you said, like I have quite a longevity with it, and I'm really proud of that. And I don't take any of it lightly. I always come back to all of that. It feels like it almost feels like a responsibility, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all. It's just like how lucky am I
Yeah.
to carry this and connect with people about it.
Yeah. So for those listening who don't know your longevity, I'm going to try and go through it quickly.
Yeah.
So you were an OG cast member of the first national Aragon tour as the alternate to Aragon, Seymour, and Parr. And then you came to the Broadway company as a standby for Jane Seymour and Catherine Parr. And then you were temporarily on tour with the Berlin, wow, I said that wrong, Berlin tour, um, going back to the alternate of Aragon, Seymour, and Parr. And then you took over for Jane Seymour full time in the Toronto production.
You nailed it. Yeah,
Hold on,
that's like
pen drop.
quite literally how it happened. That's the order in which it happened. And again, like just in talking about pride and like how proud I am to have been a part of this project,
Mhm.
I am the only person, fun fact about me, I am the only person who has been with all four North American companies of the show.
Oh, wow. Is that a part of your two truths and a lie with the ballet thing?
Listen, it could be because
Okay.
what the heck? It could like it literally could be.
I might have to change it if people listen to the podcast now.
I know. Yeah, I'll have to come up with some other truths.
Yeah.
But I am the only person, and I did not perform with the Broadway company. This is like sort of the convoluted thing of like Hell's Kitchen ended up being my on-stage performance Broadway debut, but my technical Broadway debut, my first like Broadway contract
Hmm.
and opportunity came with Six. Because I was there for a limited time, they were in a again, it was 2022 COVID conundrum coverage issue, and I was on tour at the time, and so I got a call, can you come to Broadway for like 8 days? And of course, I was more than happy to do that. And, I rehearsed a lot and I did a put in for Seymour and, all of that good stuff. I was like ready to go on at any time, but ended up not, the coverage held in the building, which is obviously ultimately a good thing. But yeah, so I have not performed with the Broadway company of Six, but I was there and my little insert was in the playbill and then went back out to tour, finished up with the Aragon tour. The Aragon tour ran for 18 months and then they closed the Aragon tour and kept the second national, the Berlin tour open. And so that's when I went there for about a month and covered and ultimately got the call to go to Toronto. An injury in the cast and um, I ended up being a long-term, replacement up there and got to play the role full time, which was so after you're an alternate or a cover of any sort, just getting to step into something 8 shows a week and knowing like the simple things of waking up in the morning and knowing what your day looks like. That those were the simple luxuries that I remember taking with me to Toronto of like, oh my gosh, I don't have to wait for permission for the next time I get to do this. I just get to like wake up and go to the theater and do it. And if I mess up tonight, I can fix it tomorrow night. And all of those things that really came with the excitement and the opportunity to play the role full
Yeah.
time. So that is the longevity.
Excuse me. I'm going to totally sidestep because I forgot to ask you this. Did you
Yeah.
ever get to perform as Paulette on the national tour of Pretty Woman?
Oh, as Kit DeLuca.
Oh, that's who I meant.
Yeah,
I was
listen,
thinking Legally
same role.
Blonde.
Of course, but it's Orphe girl, so you
Yes.
nailed it. Yeah,
Did you ever
I
get
have
to
not.
understudy Orphe? I'm just joking.
I did not. So Pretty
Okay.
Woman, I was there for literally 4 months. When at the time that I booked Pretty Woman, I had already been pretty far into the process, into the audition process for the Six First National. And my team knew at that point that I was like likely to book Six. The decision making for Six just had not happened yet, and we had an offer on the table. So my team did an amazing job of negotiating outs for me from Pretty Woman to be like, hey, we think this offer is going to come. When it does, she
Yeah.
will leave Pretty Woman to go do Six. So all of that to say, I was with Pretty Woman for about 4 months. And in that time, I covered two roles on Pretty Woman. I covered Kit DeLuca. I had an ensemble track of my own that was very, very fun.
Mhm.
And I covered Kit, the Orphe role. And I also covered the opera track.
Mhm.
There's an opera feature in the show.
Oh,
Uh,
again, I know.
oh, yes, you are very familiar with
Seen the
Violetta.
show. Yeah.
Um,
It's during You and I.
yes. Honestly, so beautiful. But yeah, I never went on for either one because I just wasn't, people were the first couple months that you're on a contract, everyone is like you
Well,
know.
I will say what I really do like about your website, and not to like keep bringing it up, but you have photos of yourself on there in productions, and you literally have, I'm here in this yellow dress, or this is
Hmm.
on the right. Because sometimes you look at people's websites and you don't know where to look,
Ah,
but you're in the infamous, like, oh, you work off of commission, right? Big,
yes.
yeah, so you were in that.
We call it the snobby shop. Yeah,
Yeah,
the infamous Rodeo Drive. Oh, remember me?
yeah,
Yeah, you wouldn't help me yesterday. Big mistake.
big,
Big, huge.
yeah,
I have to go shopping now.
yeah.
So yes, that was me with the lovely Becca Suskower. And the two of us ran the snobby shop on Rodeo Drive.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I just wanted to ask because I realized I forgot, and because I'm going to ask you some like really cliche questions now about being a standby.
Yeah.
And if people are like, why is she asking this cliche? I don't care because I want to know. So, being a standby, being an understudy, being a swing, like that's incredible. Like my brain would hurt and my brain hurts just thinking about it. But I think something like six, and I think because each individual queen I don't want to say it's like such a monster in a way, but to me, it's
It
like
is.
kind of a
It fully
yeah, it's
is.
like a monster of a role, and you're covering Aragon, who like to no offense to like any of the people, but when I saw the show for the first time, I saw the original cast, but there was an understudy for Catherine Howard, which is totally fine because she was incredible.
Mhm.
But like Catherine Aragon came out and she sings her first song, and I was like, yes, literally queen. Um,
Mhm.
and then you have Jane Seymour, who has that beautiful ballad, which you ended up doing 8 times a week. And then you had Parr. Unfortunately, I don't remember Parr as much, but like each role is a monster. So how is
Mhm.
it for you coming in, not really like understudying at most two roles at a time? How is it for you to kind of cover all of these roles?
Yeah, six was and probably will remain for a long time, I imagine, the hardest job I've ever had, full stop. Um, and I think it still would have been the hardest job that I ever had, full stop, if I was just doing one on stage full time. Like the show is that challenging. And anyone who does more than one, there are people in international companies of the show in the UK and in Australia. There are people who literally do all six. Like there are swings for the show who are super swings who do all six. I that makes me want to cry. The thing about
Just think of
covering
Anna
it,
Pascal. Just think of
exactly.
happy to happy.
Um, the thing about six and my journey as a cover up until then was that the only time I had ever covered in my life before was Pretty Woman. And I covered two roles and I had three tracks to juggle. I had one that I was in 8 times a week, and then I had two. And that I covered. And I firmly believe that I was ready for both. Like I had done the work, I had done the homework. I was, I'm a good study.
Mhm,
Um, I firmly believe that I would have executed well
mhm,
had I ever gotten the call to do either one of those roles. But ultimately, we just like never know because I never had to. I never got to show my work there. And so then going into six, I think that there was a lot of it that I just simply had not grasped because I didn't have the experience of going on, of having all of the elements whirling around me, of the adrenaline, of the nerves, like all of the things that then happen to you
mhm,
when you are on stage in front of people doing something like in actuality for the first time. And the thing about six is that it's a big sensory overload experience. The costumes are heavy and cumbersome. The choreography is nonstop. The choreography tends to look easy. I think people walk away from seeing six for the first time and it's like, oh, they were just kind of like doing little steps. Like, no, it's actually we call it a 80-minute cardio hit class in heels. Like you are drenched in
well,
sweat. You
also like the costuming you have as well, and then
Yeah.
when you have the opening of the song when you're like live and you're all like bending backwards.
Oh yeah.
I just did that and my back hurts and I'm in a chair. I
Yeah.
joke, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no, you're spot on. And it takes very, very skilled people to do that show. Hats off to anybody who's ever done Six the Musical. Um, So there's all of those things. There's also like crazy light show going on around you. You're also wearing in-ear monitors. Six is one of the few musicals in existence currently that uses an in-ear monitor, which is basically something that like pop and rock stars use for like stadium tours. It feeds you a very specific mix of your own right into your ears. It's like you're wearing like a hearing aid. And what the in-ears do, when you put an in-ear monitor in your ears, the ones that we used for six at least, they make you 30% deaf to your actual like aural auxiliary surroundings. And 30% might not sound like a lot. It feels insane. It feels like you are underwater. And so that is, it's kind of funny. Like the creative team for Six says that the first day that everyone is in for any company, the first day that anyone spends in the in-ear monitors on stage at Six the Musical, you tell them to turn left and they turn right. Like no, you literally the information, the sensory information that we as humans with, the sense of hearing,
Hmm.
the information that we gather directionally, intuitively, anything from our hearing is kind of stripped away. So again, it's just like the all of it. You're threading all of those things together, all of those layers that make the show challenging. And then on top of it, you're singing like elite singing. And the Catherine of Aragon of it all, Catherine of Aragon is the hardest role I've ever played. Again, full stop. And a lot of that is due in part to it's a really, really physical role. It's the most physically demanding role in the show. The choreography for her song No Way is the most involved and cardiovascularly intense. The song is also like very challenging to sing, and the costume weighs about 15 pounds.
Hmm.
Yeah, fun. So you are
Yeah.
just like fighting for your life, and you're the first one out of the
Are you on
gate.
a treadmill just like carrying weights with you and prepping?
It's funny that you say that. Yes, I bought a weighted vest when I was on tour. I bought a 12-pound weighted vest, and I would literally run on the tread. I would run the show with it. I would do, like wherever we were in whatever venue, I would run the show along with the show feed if I wasn't on. I'd put the weighted vest on, and literally nightly, I would just run Catherine of Aragon because it again just had like a it had an effect on my nervous system when I put the costume on my body and went out there and did it that the other two did not have. That just made the other two a little bit more physically easier.
Hmm.
And, Jane Seymour and Catherine Parr have their own bag of tricks of like things that you have to juggle and figure out. But yeah, I would run the show. I would use a prop microphone and a prop mic belt, and I would put my shoes on and I would run the show in the rehearsal studio or wherever we were, like whatever available space that there was for us in whatever venue that we were on tour. And I would take the weighted vest home, and if there was a gym in the building that I was living in whatever city, like I would in fact wear the weighted vest on the treadmill.
Hmm.
Just like insane, insane stuff that you don't think about when you go see a musical with shiny costumes and girls singing cool songs.
Well, I will say what kind of introduced me to the idea of like running stuff while doing cardio was the search for the next Elle Woods
Yeah.
because they had them like on bikes and on or
Mhm.
doing whatever like physical stuff singing.
Mhm.
And I did a show in college my senior year where I had to do a monologue and I was like running all over the stage and I was getting out of breath. So when I
Mhm.
would walk up the stairs to my apartment, I would recite the monologue. So by the time the show happened, I wasn't out of breath
Totally.
doing the monologue. And it's so weird that like just from watching the search for the next Elle Woods, that to age myself, that's how I discovered that's something you should do.
Yeah. I was told when I was in rehearsals for the Rent tour, Rent in its original inception
Hmm.
is it's a very, very athletic physical show. And that was something I was not expecting. You think of Rent and you think of like cool people standing around singing cool rock songs.
Yeah.
And yes, it is that, but it was really, really athletic. Like all of us ended up like losing a lot of weight when we were on tour with that show just because we were all like running around. And it's set in New York City in December for most of the show. So like you're in wool coats and layers and sweaters and scarves, and it's just you're like sweating constantly.
Yeah, and you're in leather in the second.
And yeah, and so in the second act for Take Me or Leave Me was really, really challenging because again, in the original direction of it all and the staging, there are three tables set up on stage that the three couples are sort of positioned on. Like there's one table that Angel and Collins are on, there's one table that Mimi and Roger are on, and then there's another table where Maureen and Joanne are stationed and they're rehearsing
Hmm.
Maureen's show.
Hmm.
And so then that table is used in all sorts of ways, and the chairs with like you're climbing on things like as Maureen, you are like straddling tables and chairs, climbing on things, jumping off of things, all while you are singing Take Me or Leave Me. And the first time that we ran the song with the blocking in the rehearsal room, I was so out of, and I have pretty good breath support. Like I'm pretty like solid there, and I was so out of breath. I was so winded just from the again, like the cardio experience that comes with like engaging your quads in a squat for a prolonged period of time. And the director came up to me at one point after one of our rehearsal days, and he was like, "I'm not telling you to do this in any in I mean no disrespect at in any way, shape, or form. Sing this song on the treadmill. Like get on the treadmill and run and sing the song." And he wanted to make sure that he wasn't telling me that because of the way that I looked or
Yeah.
anything like that. It was just like this is what this is. And so
Yeah.
that would yes, and then the search for Elle Woods thing, like there are those iconic scenes where I have admittedly never watched the series. I remember when it was airing. I've never watched it, and I'm not sure if I ever will because one of my best friends in the world is Cassie Silva, Cassie S,
Mm.
from The Search for Elle Woods, and she and I always joke that part of why we are such good friends is because I've never actually watched it. But she, just like reality, they were making reality TV and they
Yeah.
were making heroes and villains in their reality TV and experience. And um,
I don't remember heroes and villains in it, kind of. I remember like certain people, and like weirdly years later I ended up working with them during the pandemic. So it's just full circle funny stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
that is a thing. Training for, training off stage, like you said, saying things out loud while you're doing stairs, saying a monologue, singing a song while you're on a treadmill. There were plenty of times across the country where I was on a treadmill in a hotel gym, singing out loud. Sorry, people, I'm here for work. This is what I got to do.
Yeah.
Figure
Were
it
they
out.
at least enjoying it?
I hope so. Maybe they had their headphones in and didn't hear me at all, but
They were probably like, what is this crazy person doing singing in a weighted vest?
quite literally. The day that I made my Catherine of Aragon debut, we were in Chicago with Six, and I got the call that I would be on for the Wednesday matinee. So it was, 10 or 11 in the morning, and I grabbed my vest and I ran down. I was staying in an apartment building that had a gym in it. It was very nice. And I grabbed my vest and I ran down to the gym and I just did like 10 minutes on the tread. I was like, first thing I need to do is open my lungs up. God help me. How am I going to do this? So somebody was in the gym and watched me do that, and then I got very sweaty and I left. That's the end of that.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you said that she's the hardest. So if Catherine of Aragon was the hardest, was it just like a nice reprieve to be like, ah, Jane Seymour?
Yeah, again, it was a different kind of bag of tricks of things that you had to worry about, but Catherine of Aragon was definitely the most anxiety inducing because there were just so many elements that you were juggling that didn't make it feel like you were totally in control all of the time.
Hmm.
Um, because it was like you were dealing with a costume and like just things that made it really, really challenging. I mean, I really loved just because of that. I had a complicated relationship with playing Aragon. There were things about it that made me feel really empowered and really, strong and amazing and, all of those things. But I think that that was the one that I ended up looking forward to playing the least, just because it was like, oh my God, there's like all of these things that
Yeah.
I have to fight. Um, and yeah, then Seymour and Parr were just by comparison with the combination of three queens that I had.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was definitely a little bit of a okay, I get to do one of these two. That's fun. That's lovely. I love to go into work and do these two.
Yeah. But how was it your journey coming to an end with six, just it being one role? in a sit down production.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really, really big welcome treat. And when I left Six Toronto, I ended up like I had to put in my notice and leave because when I got the call to go to Toronto, I was so excited, like I said, to play the role full time, just do one. You know, it definitely felt like an amalgamation of my time with the show. But when I got the call to go, it was supposed to be for 4 weeks. And the situation with the injury that I was covering just ended up the poor thing. She had a situation with her shoulder that just ended up needing more time, and so month to month I kept getting extensions, and they kept being like, can she stay for another month, another month, another month, and so I ended up being there for about 3.5 months,
Mhm.
and it just reached a point where I was like, I have to go home. You know, I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't pack. I packed for 4 weeks. Um, so anyway, it was tough and sad and bittersweet to leave the show and to leave the company and to leave Toronto. But I just felt so like steadfast and correct in my decision because I was like, I did it. Like yeah, it was a sit down production. I got to know the city of Toronto. I got to make a family with these people here at the Royal Alexandra Theatre. I got to play the role. I got to like leave my sort of lasting mark
Yeah.
here. And I feel really, really good going home and putting a bow on my time with Six that
Mhm.
way.
That's great. So let's talk about Hell's Kitchen now.
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, we can keep going. I'll
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. I know that show so well.
Listen, there it
I tell
is.
people when I do merch there, because people have listened to like I do part-time doing merch, and that's like one of the main shows that I work at. Ironically, I did laundry this morning, and so I was able to launder my kaleidoscope shirt. Um,
Hilarious.
we sell the CD, and there's the special edition with like Alicia Keys and Amanda Reed, who's currently playing Allie and Tank. And I always tell people, out of all of the shows I work, Hell's Kitchen is the one I will actually like go to on Spotify and like listen to certain songs.
Hmm.
The River,
Very good. It's very good.
The River, I sing terribly along with it in my apartment. Just, sometimes you got to hear a show being sing out a song,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in my research of you, so whenever I research people, I always do like deep dives in Instagram and what have you. So
Hmm.
you posted a lovely carousel of photos and videos of you joining Hell's Kitchen. And one of them I think was like your next big goal for yourself was to come back to Broadway. And
Mm.
I think there was like a phone call with the agent being like, "No, let's make Broadway happen." So,
Yeah.
how is it for you? And how did Hell's Kitchen come into your life?
Mhm.
And how is it being like, "Holy burp, I'm gonna be on Broadway and
Yeah.
not covering all these roles and like a legitimate standby for a role on Broadway, knowing at some point you're probably gonna make your like actual on stage Broadway debut."
Yeah. When I came back from this is a perfect segue because when I came back from Six Toronto, part of my biggest goal with coming back to New York after that was like I want my next job to be in New York City. Yes, I would love for it to be on Broadway, but just like working in any capacity because I had toured so much,
Mhm.
Kinky Boots, Rent, Pretty Woman, Six, all over the continent.
Yeah.
It was like I want to commit myself to this city. I want to actually put my roots down in this city. I feel like I am ready. I feel like I am worthy. Like I want the Broadway job. And so last year, 2024, I came back from Toronto in February and I really hit the ground running with like refocusing, saying no to a lot of things that were out of town, saying no to touring auditions. Would she be interested in this? Would she? No, I'm really, really just trying to like sift through the, the opportunities that I do not feel will currently serve me, based on where I want to go. They would serve me in plenty of other lovely ways, but based on the goals that I have. And so that was the thing that you said, that the carousel, I know exactly what you're talking about. It was a text thread with my manager, Harold. He's amazing. He's my manager and my agent. And we
Shout
were
out to
texting.
Harold, who I was in communication with.
Shout out to Harold.
Harold is great.
He
I've never
is.
met him, but he's wonderful via email.
He, he is.
You
He's
can even
wonderful.
tell him I said that next time you
I
talk.
will. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll text him when we're done, and I will say we had the best time and we shouted you out. So listen to the
Well,
episode, Harold.
what?
But we were texting, I believe, on New Year's Day, or very shortly after the new year turned 2024. And yeah, I said, 2024 goal is Broadway, and he wrote back and said it will for sure happen. And so 2024 was spent, like I said, turning down opportunities and auditions and really trying to focus in. And it got really, I spent most of 2024 unemployed because of that. And it just felt like I was leveling up. I had a crash out meeting with my managers about halfway through the year because I was like, what is happening? Like, I've never gone this long unemployed. I'm freaked out. I know that this happens to people. It just like I haven't yet encountered it personally, and like I like, am I done? Like, is six it? Like, I'm never gonna work again. And they were like, Kelsee, respectfully, chill out. This happens. We see it all the time.
Hmm.
You are in the big leagues. Like, you're in the big leagues. Like, you're competing for Broadway jobs with Broadway vets. The way that we pitch you is this way, and those are the kind of jobs that you're up for. Like, you are in the big leagues against the big guns. You've leveled up. And Hell's Kitchen came about very, very quickly and beautifully in like October. I got the audition, and this is one of my favorite stories to tell. My mom was in town for a long weekend in October, and I whenever she comes to town, we always make a list of like, oh, these are the Broadway shows we want to see. We
Hmm.
hadn't yet seen Hell's Kitchen. We were like, let's put that on the docket. And so she planned this weekend trip. We bought the tickets like weeks in advance. We were like, we're gonna go see Hell's Kitchen on this day. It was Friday, October 18th. I have a weird thing with dates. And Friday, October 18th, we had tickets weeks in advance to see Hell's Kitchen. That day, we are standing in line. My mom had never been to Katz's Delicatessen. Why did I just say delicatessen? The
You can say delicatessen. It technically is one.
Katz's Deli.
Listen, we
Um,
went to Katz's Delicatessen. We had a pickle. It was great. There you go.
exactly, exactly. I had an egg salad on rye. It was fantastic. But
Sounds delish.
we're standing in line out on the sidewalk to, waiting to be let in. And I just randomly check my email. I just like habitually open my phone and check my email. And it's like 4:30 p.m. We're seeing the show at 7. I have an email in my inbox from Harold, whoop whoop,
What?
that says self-tape for Jersey Standby, Hell's Kitchen, Broadway. And I'm like, right, right. And I email him back and I'm like, yes, confirm this appointment. Believe it or not, I'm literally seeing this tonight in like 2.5 hours. And after I confirmed the appointment with him via email, he shot me a text really quickly and was like, "Thank you so so much for not thinking that I'm crazy. I'm on the younger side. Why I am. I'm the youngest person so far to play the role of Jersey, and she is a young mom, so it's not like it's incorrect. It's just I'm younger than the other women who have done it so far, and
Well,
so
I
he
will
was,
say, I think people coming into the show, like if they don't know how old somebody is and you're like, this person is this age, they're just going to believe it. And
hmm,
it's never discussed how old the mom is. It's also
correct.
never discussed at what age she got together with the father, even though
Mhm.
she was like, we were young and love and
Yeah.
whatever. So it's never been discussed. So there you go.
Totally. Totally. It just he was like, I don't want you to think that I'm crazy for submitting you for this thing that you're on, the younger end for. They're
Yeah.
just, there's a skill set that this role requires. It requires
Yes.
a musical sensibility and a vocal, ability
Yeah.
that is hard to find. And you are one of the people in New York City who can do this. And I was like, no, like I'm so pumped. Yes, yes, yes. Don't think you're crazy at all. Can't wait. So we see the show. I'm literally watching Shoshana Bean walk around the stage, like, okay, what's she doing? What's the, like literally got to do homework for the
Yeah.
tape that I was about to make. And then the next week I made the tape and then I got a call back and then I got a work session after the call back. And then by the end of the week, I had a phone call from my agent saying like, you're going to be on Broadway. So it all happened really rather fast, but it was one of those things that again just felt right. It just felt like a fit. It felt like, yes, this is the show that I'm supposed to do right now. Like
Yeah.
as meta and corny as that sounds, but um yeah, and then by the end of 2024, I got to make my Broadway performance debut. So that was why that thing was so lovely. That text exchange with Harold was, 2024 goal is Broadway.
Yeah.
And that conversation happened in January. And in mid-December,
Yeah.
it happened. And so, if we're looking at the calendar as like a metric, which I'm not always the biggest fan of, but it's how we divide time. So, it's like it took all year long,
Mhm.
but I'm really lucky to be able to say that it came true.
Yeah. Do you remember what that first performance was like for you?
I do. I was oddly thankfully very present. I
Mhm.
felt very ready. I think the thing about my sort of journey to my Broadway debut and the jobs that I did leading up to my Broadway debut, all of the touring, eh, it didn't happen a moment too soon. It just like I just felt very like formed and ready for it. And I felt really supported by the people around me in the building, behind the scenes. I had a lot of it was a Wednesday matinee Broadway debut, and a lot of my friends like ran to the theater and got rush tickets. It just felt great. It like felt like it was supposed to happen that way. My mom got to be there. Um, And I really do. It's like a lot of times you say, with the debut, you're like, oh my God, I blacked out. I don't remember anything. And I remember feeling that way about Six. Like when I made my Six debut on the Aragon tour, I made my debut as Jane Seymour. Oh my God, I blacked out, girl. And this was not that way. I felt very like aware and present. And I
Mhm.
even gave myself a moment. I think it might have been like during Pawn It All or right after Pawn It All, which is the big
Yeah. Oh, we'll
musical.
talk about it. That's why when I was looking at my phone, just I wasn't ignoring you, but I wanted to make sure I said the title of the song correctly.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, is it Pawn It All or Pawn It Off? So that's why I like triple checked what it was
Yes, yes,
before we
yes.
went into it.
But Pawn It All, happens is like the big tune for the role of Jersey in the second act. And I literally gave myself a moment. You're downstage and you're singing this huge song, and I just like gave myself a moment to really look at the theater
Mhm.
and take in the moment and what I was doing and who I was doing it for. And I remember that night, I did the matinee and Jessica Vosk was in the show that night and she was like, when she got to the theater, she was like, come to my dressing room. I want to hear all about it. Like, tell me all about it. And so I just sat in her dressing room and I just like thanked her for being supportive and like told her how like amazing and magical my debut got to be. And we're just talking all about that. And I told her, I was like, I actually had this moment. I'm really thankful that I had this moment where like I got to look out at the house and like really take it in. And she was like, that's really amazing that you had the wherewithal and the ability to do that. Cause I feel like so many people, the moment goes by and it's just like so crazy and you feel out of control.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I remember it. I remember it well. And I'm really lucky and thankful that I do because it very easily could have been a crazy emotional roller coaster. I have no idea which way is up
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. So let's talk about Pawn It All. Um, if there's the Instagram Broadway Belters who gave you your own incredible video. And I do remember working there one day and you did like some note and some of like, I don't, maybe it was Pawn It All or something. One of the ushers was like, she didn't have to do that. She didn't have to do that.
Oh my gosh.
It's the end of the week. She didn't have to do that. But so I'm curious to know, so Pawn It All, you just like, I mean, for me, who cannot sing like that, in my head, I'm like, woo, woo, but I can't. The freedom that I guess you can do with this song Is there any type of like improvisation with any of the notes or especially towards the end of the song where you just have like, you just riff? Is it
Hmm.
any improvise vocal
Yeah,
stuff that you got to do, or what freedom were you given for that song, especially towards the end?
100%. I think across the board at Hell's Kitchen, one of the things that makes it such an anomaly in the musical theater world, we say like it's the least Broadway show,
Mhm.
um, just because it is rooted in, the Alicia Keys R&B
Mhm.
musical world.
Yeah.
And with that comes a really, really wonderful and inspiring music team who really kind of lets us all do what feels good for us. I don't want to say whatever we want because of course there are parameters,
Yeah.
but every single person and if you've obviously been at the show for lots of iterations of it, like I'm sure you have heard lots of different versions of all of the songs based on the person who is singing it. And kind of famously, when I joined Hell's Kitchen and was going through the music with the music director, the music director's name is Lily Ling, and Lily was telling me Shoshana has never done the same ending to Pawn It All twice. Like that is what that is. It truly is just kind of like free. And I mean, Shoshana has the facility to and the trust and the tenure and the instrument and the ear and all things fabulous that literally makes Shoshana Bean singular. She, can do that. And I to a degree can, but I also in the musical theater setting I like to have a bit more structure. So like what I do at the end of the song is pretty set. It's pretty much the same every time I do it, but if I decided to do something else a different night, I would absolutely be supported and I would get the green light to do that. Um which is really very cool. We're given like complete freedom with the choices. Everything is very bespoke to each individual performer who's playing the roles. And that feels so amazing because it's like it's pop music, it's R&B. It's like that's what
Yeah.
makes R&B so special and so emotional and so intimate and personal is like how the voice and the instrument gets to apply itself to the storytelling. And we're all really, really encouraged to like find our own riffs, find our own timing, find our, and again, within parameters, because we are doing a musical that has click tracks. But,
Yeah.
and we need to make sure that we get out of there in a reasonable amount of time so that the crew doesn't go into overtime. But,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's very cool, very freeing. I am the kind of singer who loves to really explore and push herself and find things that work. So that part has been really artistically fulfilling.
Yeah. Sorry. I was just looking at something. So, okay. I feel like you already kind of covered this, but before we started chatting, I said, I sometimes work there and I spoke to front of house people. I'm like, if you guys have any questions for Kelsee, let me know. So there was two different questions. One of them was, what's a harder role to sing, Hell's Kitchen or any role in Six, which I think we already discussed.
Yeah,
Unless you feel like there's something a little bit different about Hell's Kitchen,
no, I
because
mean,
they're very different musically.
they are. I will say Hell's Kitchen, Jersey and Hell's Kitchen is the biggest sing I've ever done.
Hmm.
Uh, the audition alone, literally like making the self tape for Jersey and Hell's Kitchen was, I felt like the biggest sing that
Are
I
you
had
allowed
ever.
to talk about what that you auditioned with?
Yeah, yeah. The pack I was given material from the show.
Hmm.
So I didn't have to bring any of my own material to the audition, but there were three scenes, two scenes with Allie and one scene with Miss Liza Jane, the Keisha Lewis role.
Hmm.
And the songs I had to do a cut of Teenage Love Affair, a
Hmm.
cut of Love Looks Better,
Hmm.
a cut of Pawn It All. And then for my in-person audition, they added a cut of No One. But the thing about these cuts, if I remember correctly, they were like most of the songs. It was like, yeah, like a cut,
Yeah.
quote.
Just like,
But
the easy songs they're going to give you to audition with.
yeah, and so fine, that it was huge. Like the audition, I remember before I went in to my callback, like it was the most insane callback experience of my life because Alicia Keys was on Zoom and they had like all of this hype. Her like personal sound person was at Pearl Studios setting up microphones and like a mixing board and all of this like crazy stuff, like microphones everywhere so that she could hear what she needed to hear. So it wasn't just like a MacBook Zoom, you know what I mean? Where like sound cuts in and out
Yeah.
sometimes when you're singing. And yeah, so like Alicia Keys and Adam Blackstone are in the audition on Zoom, and the entire, Michael Greif is there, and the music director is there, and casting it, like all of these people. And Alicia Keys is talking to me on Zoom literally while I'm singing her music for her in the room. Like it was insane. And on top of that, I was like, this is I've never walked into an audition studio anywhere and sung like this. Like this much,
Yeah.
and with this much brain, like the amount of access that I needed to all points of my voice, high, low, mid.
Yeah.
I had never quite needed to navigate that before. And so for all of those reasons, Jersey and Hell's Kitchen is definitely the biggest sing that I've ever done. You're not stacked up against quite the same odds as you are in Six in terms of choreography and costuming.
Hmm.
So again, like the role, like when I say playing Catherine of Aragon is the hardest role that I've ever done, those are the things that make it hard. Like yes, the song is hard,
Hmm.
but it's really like the choreography and the costuming. But if we strip all of that stuff away and we just look at the music and we just look at the vocals,
Yeah.
Jersey is definitely
Yeah.
harder,
Yeah.
more challenging, I would say, than any of the roles that I did in Six.
Yeah. And then the other question I was given is, how is playing a mother when you are not a mother?
Yeah, that is challenging because obviously you're not pulling from your own lived experiences.
Mm.
But we all we all have a relationship with a mother, whether it's good or bad, complicated or easy. We all have an experience with a biological mother. We all have experiences with other mother figures in our lives, people who have mothered us in other ways. And so it's those kind of context clues that helped me build my version of who this character is, despite the fact that I don't have a child of my own in real life. And the really cool thing about playing a mom and about playing this particular mom, where the story is so, I mean, it truly is a love story between a mother and a daughter. That's what the show is about at its core. That's what Alicia wanted it to be when they were creating the piece. The really, really cool thing is that without the race element, I really feel like I am Allie. It is very, very close to my own personal story, the story with Allie and her parents, and being raised by her mother, and the fact that I get to play a version of my own mother, the fact that I get to honor her in that way and flip sides and tell a version of my own story from a different perspective
Mhm.
is so immensely special. It's very emotional, very, very intimately personal to me, but it also has been very cathartic and very healing. And so that's the really amazing thing is like, I feel like this story in a weird way is like mine, even though it's not my lived experience.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the really, really special thing. And again, it's like I'm so lucky to have the mother that I have. I'm so lucky to have a great relationship with my mother. So many people don't have that luxury. But even if you don't have a great relationship with your biological mother, even if you don't know your biological mother, there is still a relationship to be had and to be explored. And again, we all have those kinds of context clues to put things together and piece together a story or a performance. And that's so much of like what acting is, what do I have to pull from that is my own experience, my own memories and living versus the people around me, the observations and the people around me. Um, I think that Jersey is, I mean, art is subjective, but I think that Jersey is very well written. Again, because it is so close to my personal story and the perspective that I get to bring to it. I really, really, I just understand it. I just am like, yeah, I can see why this is happening. I can see why this decision was made. I see why this misstep in the past is being corrected in this way. The involvement of Allie's father is happening because of, it's just getting to fill in the blanks that way has been really rewarding and challenging and emotional and cathartic. And I feel so freaking lucky that this is the job that I get to do.
Yeah. So there was a period of time where Miss Fosk, she was out due to a back injury. So you got to
Mhm.
perform for a couple of weeks, just main role. How I don't know, I don't remember how many weeks it was, but having done the role 8 times a week during that time, how do I want to phrase this? You were talking and I was like, oh, I'm going to ask this, and now it just like fell out of my head. Um, Oh, I mean, like, I feel like you've probably grown more into the role. Do you feel that? And have you learned more about her? I mean, just based off of what you've said. And do you think that also helps when you do get to go on? Because you went on the other, on, what was it,
Yeah.
like 2
Yeah.
p.m. on Saturday, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely got to grow into it more. The thing about being a standby or a cover in any sense is that when you do go on, it tends to be just for like one show or maybe like two show, you know what I mean? It's not like it's rare that you get to do so many in a row.
Mhm.
And anyone who has covered before, anyone who has worked with a cover before knows that the
Yeah.
the best way that you learn and reinforce the learning is by getting to do it multiple times in a row. Um, because when you go on just like one thing at a time, one show at a time, and then maybe you don't see the role again for a couple of weeks, you're so concentrated on like hitting all of the marks. Like, okay, here's where I have to say this line, and here's where I sing this note, and I have to stand on this number, and I have to make sure I'm in this spotlight, and I'm wearing this costume. And when you get to do it so many times in a row, and like you said, yes, I got to play the role full time for 3 weeks. And what happened, what I experienced in those 3 weeks is that I was just kind of able to play. I was just kind of able to, in the scene work, especially, like I wasn't so worried about like hitting each moment to moment, technically speaking, from an acting standpoint, and like hitting all of the beats that the direction team wants me to hit. Shout out to Michael Greif, who I now get to actually work with after doing the 20th anniversary tour of Rent. It's like you get so much information from someone like him, from someone like Michael Greif, and it's okay. So I have to hit that, and he wants this timing and this beat work, and anyway, you kind of get to ease into that and feel how it feels night after night and play a little bit more, and you're not so worried about it being blown. Like every now and then, you have a moment on stage where it's like, oh, I hated how that went, or I hated that line delivery, or you just kind of get in your head about the fact that you have this one-off opportunity to do it, and you don't know when you'll get to do it again.
Yeah.
And the luxury of getting to do it night after night is that like, oh, well, I kind of hated how that went, but it's theater and it just, poof, went into thin air, and I never have to revisit it exactly that way ever again. And I get to try it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yes, I absolutely grew. I found an ease. I found an ease with the scene work. I definitely found an ease with the vocal. I was able to find like really, really lock into a consistency with my vocal placement and all sorts of nerdy vocal pedagogy, things like that. And from the technical side of things, really trust what was going into it so that I could be present and play and ultimately grow. But that has luckily stuck now as I've gone back into the standby capacity. And now, maybe I'm on, as Jessica is recovering from her back surgery. If I'm on like once a week or whatever, it's like, well, I still have the foundation of my 3 week run to step back into this. I know exactly how this feels. I know what I want to do. I know how I want to execute it. And theater is crazy, man. It's just like the same thing over and over again with entirely different circumstances every time you do it.
Yeah.
With, sometimes with a different cast around you, sometimes with a different stage manager in the wings, sometimes, always with different audience. It's like all of it, it's so transient. And it, it, that's what's so exciting about it though, is that like you have your experiences in the theater that you only share with the people who were at that show that day,
Yeah.
which is what makes it kind of so sacred. And I think why people get so precious about bootlegs and whatever. I don't really feel one type. I mean, yes, it's like don't let us see you doing it, but like when it comes to bootlegging, it really doesn't capture. the essence of the theatrical experience because it's not an art form that's meant to be caught on film. It's an art form that's meant to be experienced live. And then the beautiful thing about it is that it like goes away forever. And it's just an experience that lives in your memory that you shared only with the people who were in the room that day.
Yeah. I sometimes say to myself, like, oh man, I wish I could rewind that moment just to like rewatch it. But you can't because it's
Hmm.
live theater.
Hmm.
And just like I'm such a nerd about theater too. So
Yeah.
and I get it. I understand. I've seen many, many things. So do you have any dream roles or projects that you would like to do?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to do Wicked. That is like the low-hanging fruit of it all. But
There is video of you from your concert, an evening with Kelsee Kimmel, where you do sing from Wicked.
from Wicked.
From
Um,
Wicked.
yeah, it's always been like
Maybe
the
you and Anna
thing.
Pascal should sing a song from Wicked. You should sing As Long as You're Mine.
I actually thought that when you asked me the question about what song would I sing with Adam Pascal, I actually thought that what if we did As Long as You're Mine? Um,
I Somebody needs to record that and it needs to be like posted immediately online and
oh
it's
my
gonna live there
gosh.
forever. Sorry, continue. So Wicked.
So yeah, Wicked, I would really love to do Jenna and Waitress, which I also sang at a night with Kelsey Kimmel. Um, And I mean, ultimately, I would love to originate something. I think the experience of create, I mean, it's like painstaking. I can only imagine, the like the creation and the revision and the tech process of creating something brand new from the ground up. Um, all of that is so challenging and demanding, and the kind of the luxury of being a replacement as I am in Hell's Kitchen is that I kind of get to come in like when it's already figured out and
Yeah.
set and it's running, and like I just have to figure out how I fit, like what's my piece of the puzzle that I bring to this thing that's already up and running. One time actually Michael Greif walked past me. I was talking with a group backstage after a show, and I was talking about this very thing of like, I would really love to originate something. And Michael Greif, our director at Hell's Kitchen, walked past me in the wing and he stopped and he was like, no, no, no. Like that is painstaking work. It's like you hit the mark perfectly by coming in once all of that stuff was figured out and you don't have to worry about it anymore. So and that's obviously jokes. It's like we love to create and we love to figure these things out, but I really, really would love the experience of originating something new and having it feel like mine, like having it really feel like mine. There's like a pride and ownership thing that comes with our work that I feel like you get to experience in its full mecca
Yeah.
arrival when like you created it. So that would be amazing. But yeah, in terms of like pre-existing shows that are out in the world right now, I would love to do The Wicked and I would love to do The Waitress.
Okay.
And um, I've auditioned for both multiple times, and hopefully someday that's just something that connects with a right time, right place,
Yeah.
availability and casting.
Yeah. I mean, and for the time being, you're in a Hell's Kitchen just belting that face off.
Just doing all sorts of crazy things, running around after a 17-year-old and singing Alicia Keys.
Yeah. I mean, could be worse. You could be not singing Alicia Keys.
You're right, right. Like there are worse jobs. I mean, it's just amazing. I love the show so much,
Yeah.
and I just come back to gratitude and luck and thankfulness, and of course there's a lot of hard work and ups and downs and trials and tribulations that led to this, but I really love that I get to be a part of this show and that I get to be a part of this show in New York City.
Yeah.
Show that is obviously set in New York City, and in a lot of ways, it's a love letter to New York City.
Mhm.
Oh, I just love it, and I feel so so lucky. And like you said, there are a lot of worse things.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be with Hell's Kitchen as long as they will have me.
Well, speaking of not worse things, what about your top going theater experiences?
Uh,
See, look at that transition. I was wondering how I was going to do it, and we did it
I
off
am
top.
applauding you. I am
Thank
applauding
you.
you. So the first thing that comes to mind whenever it comes to like my favorite experience that I've ever had in a theater.
Mhm.
I was at the invited dress rehearsal, the final dress rehearsal before they began preview performances
Mhm.
of the Hello Dolly revival with Bette Midler.
Wow.
And which was actually, it was at the Schubert Theater, which is ironic because that's where Hell's Kitchen is. But it was so amazing because of course it's still a rehearsal. It's like it's a packed house. Like the invited dress rehearsal day in a process is like it's still a rehearsal, it's still a rehearsal, but the house is packed to the gills
Yeah.
with a very excited audience. And it also tends to be an audience filled with industry folks. It's like
Yeah.
filled with your peers because those are the people who have access to the comp tickets that the company has or like whatever, any sort of connection, that anybody has to anybody in the building. That's who's filling the house as like a test audience. But so the director comes out at the top of the show before they start the show, the rehearsal, if you will, and he's like, "Reminder: this is while we were very excited to share this with all of you, this is a rehearsal. If we need to stop, we will stop. If someone needs to call hold, we will call hold," which like are things that are all true in the run
Yeah.
of a show anyway. But yeah, it's a good reminder for everyone. It's a good reminder for mainly for the people backstage and doing the show of like, hey, everybody, remember, we're good. And with that being said, I mean, Bette Midler, first of all, was incredible, big fan, and just in the spirit of it being a rehearsal, she went up on a couple of lines, and in the way that like people go up on lines in live theater all the time. Spoiler alert, mistakes are happening before your very eyes whenever you're in the
Yeah.
theater. Um, it is the job of the people on stage and backstage to keep things running as smoothly as possible so that hopefully there isn't a show stop or there isn't a big mess and hopefully people walk out of the theater having no idea that anything ever went wrong. But because we were in a rehearsal setting
Mhm.
that like called line multiple times
Mhm.
and it just made her so human because she's this like icon
Mhm.
and you're watching her play Dolly Levi and she has all of these speeches. And so she was calling line a couple times and like stage management she would just stop. She would be mid-scene line and they would give it to her. And there was one time in the second act where she stopped and she's just kind of staring at David Hyde Pierce and she goes line and people started laughing in the audience because she not because we weren't laughing at her, she's just a funny person, and so the way that she called line sparked laughs and she turned out to the audience and spoke directly to us and she was like, listen, I give this speech 5 times in act 1 and 3 times in act 2. Count the howevers, just count the howevers. We're working on, and it was just so, I mean, everyone was cracking up. But it was just a really, really unique setting that I don't think a regular paying
Yeah.
audience of the show would have ever gotten because she would
Yeah.
have figured it out. You know what I mean? She would have, even if it meant like slightly going off book and like veering off book and
Yeah.
improvising something, she would have obviously kept it going without turning out directly to the audience and saying like, yeah, you guys think this is funny, but um that it was amazing. The show was incredible, and Bette was amazing, and that Tony Award of hers was well earned for her role as Dolly Levi. So that's always what I think of when I think of my favorite theater going experience.
Do you have any others, or is that's it? Like you can't beat it.
Um, I know that there are others. Um, I really, really, really loved and felt like transformed by, hate me for it, the Sunset Boulevard revival.
Okay,
Uh,
that I saw it 4 times. And it's going to be controversial. I'm going to say it, but I feel like because obviously they're like, "Oh no, Gypsy was better, Sunset was better." I feel like you're either a Gypsy person or a Sunset person, and it's not to say anything against one or the other shows,
no, not
but
at all.
I loved the survival of Sunset Boulevard.
I am generally speaking a gypsy person. That's another dream role. I hope to play Mama Rose someday.
Yeah.
I am a gypsy freaking person. That is one of my favorite scripts and scores in musical theater of all time. The thing about Sunset this year, it's controversial because people either loved it or hated it.
Mhm.
The very brutalist, stripped down, reimagined Jamie Lloyd direction of it all, the Nicole Scherzinger of it all of it is controversial. I sat in that theater. I saw it. I got myself a solo ticket when it was in previews. I was just like, I want to take myself on a date to the theater, going to see Sunset Boulevard. We were about halfway through the first act, and I was like, I need to see this again immediately. And I'm not the kind of theater goer who tends to feel that way. Like I'm like I've seen it, like check the box, cool. If I have a friend who has booked it, of course I will go back and see something time and time again. But yeah, I'm just not that kind of theater goer where I feel like I have to go back and experience something over and over again. And Sunset made me feel that way. And I can firmly say that Sunset Boulevard revival 2024 to 2025 is my favorite piece of musical theater I have ever seen.
Oh, so since you worked at the Schubert Theater, did you ever go out to watch the Sunset Walk?
Yeah, so you would see it kind of happenstance, like depending on when our show times were,
Yeah.
and when we could leave, like as a standby, as a swing, you can leave the show a little bit before the end. Like you have to stay for most of the show,
Mhm.
of course, but so it would sometimes time out where like there would be a group of us leaving the Schubert stage door before the end of Hell's Kitchen, and there's Tom Francis charging down Schubert Alley. And the other really, really funny thing is, so the story that I told about the day that I saw Hell's Kitchen for the first time and got got the tape that day and everything. I had just seen Sunset for the second time earlier that week with my mom because I had seen it the first
Mhm.
time on my own. And then my mom was coming to town, and 6 days later, I saw it again because I was like, I have to see that. First of all, I have to see this immediately again. Second of all, mom, you're coming with me. You have to see this. So my mom and I saw it together. And then 2 nights later or whatever, we're at Hell's Kitchen. And we're exiting the theater. Again, the show, just the way the show times lined up, the the performance of Hell's Kitchen was being let out, and the this was very early on in the Sunset Boulevard run, so I don't think they really got it down pat with
Oh,
how
yeah.
they handled, security
Hmm.
and the walk of it all. But I think this was very early on, so it was a little more free flowing. Anyway, people are pouring into Schubert Alley. Tom Francis and company are charging through, and my mom and I are like freaking out because we just saw, she just saw the production a couple days ago, thought it was the coolest thing ever. She's like, "Oh my God, there it is. It's happening, it's happening, it's happening." I get a text from a friend later that night who was at Sunset Boulevard, and
And they saw you.
he says, "Hey, weird question. Were you at Hell's Kitchen tonight? Because I saw you in the theater at Sunset on the screen." So yes, it's very cool to have gotten to experience that in many forms. Seeing them getting ready for the company to come down
Mhm.
44th Street and Schubert Alley, sometimes literally watching Tom Francis do it in the rain with umbrellas. I mean, they did that rain or shine, no matter what the weather was doing, they were doing the Sunset Boulevard walk.
Yeah. Well, apparently there was like three different routes they could take.
Okay.
I saw it, the last time I saw it was somebody I saw somebody go on for the role of Betty, and then I was like, she's incredible. She ended up coming onto the pod, not to like name drop or anything. But
Love.
yeah, my friend and I wanted to see her again as Betty Schaefer, and she had like certain dates she was going on. So we went, and it was like when it was 90 something degrees outside, like today. And so I was saying to myself, I'm really curious to know how he's going to do the walk. So he did it without the blazer. And so
Okay.
everyone was like, oh my God, Tom Francis is not wearing his blazer. And so I wonder how that's going to work. So he comes in, he puts the blazer on as soon as he gets into the theater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fun fact.
fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. It worked for me. And there are a lot of Sunset Boulevard purists out there
Yeah.
who will rue the day that I spoke these words on the pod, as you say. But
Listen,
it really worked for me.
as somebody who's been seeing theater, not to age myself, for over 30 years, and somebody who like used to work in hospitality and like sell theater tickets to people and has their own feelings about shows, not everything is for everyone.
Mhm.
Like there are certain shows out there that I love that people like. There are certain shows that people love that I'm just like not a fan of. And I
100%.
said to each its own. And I've just like stop judging me that I don't like a certain Lin-Manuel Miranda show. I'm sorry. Like didn't do it for me. And I
Yeah.
love the musical once. It's one of like my top three favorite musicals of all time. Not everybody likes it. So
Mhm.
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the beautiful thing about art. It's subjective. We all
Yeah.
respond differently to it. We all have our own experiences that cause us to respond differently to it.
Yeah.
And on that note, it's Sunset Boulevard or bust for me.
Pen drop again. So, okay, let's do the Inside the Actor Studio questions because I'm so
Yeah.
curious what your answer is going to be. What is your favorite word?
Anachronistic came to my mind immediately.
Wow.
Hilarious.
Never heard that on here.
Yeah, and for something to be anachronistic, funny enough, a certain Lin-Manuel Miranda musical is very anachronistic. Hamilton is extremely anachronistic because it is set in a time that is far gone in the past, but it has a modern day awareness.
Hmm.
So the idea of George Washington standing on a stage and rapping, like doing an art form that did not yet necessarily exist, is anachronistic. It's very niche and specific to something that brings like the future into a past experience.
Hmm. Thank you for the definition and example. Now
There
spell
you
it.
go.
Just
I
joking.
don't know. I could spell it. I
No,
don't
I'm
know
only
if
joking. I'm only
I don't know if I gave a very fair definition, but that's like the context that I understand the word to exist in. So whenever we can use the word anachronistic in a sentence, it's a good day for me.
you
I
know.
love vocabulary.
Oh, okay. So then you're gonna love this one. What's your least favorite word?
Oh, amazing.
Oh,
Everything's amazing. Be more creative. What else? Like what? Amazing. Everything's amazing. And listen, I use amazing. I probably said amazing 50 times on this podcast, but yeah, they're just there's
when
more
it's
to
used in the like when it's used in a specific way that annoys you, pretty much.
just as like a blanket term,
Mm,
because I think it sort of cheapens the very definition of the word amazing. Like for something to be
yeah,
amazement or like amazing or cause amazement,
yeah,
that's a big experience.
yeah.
Um, Something that comes to mind, I watch some like Gordon Ramsay cooking shows, which is funny because everyone thinks that Hell's Kitchen is like a Gordon Ramsay musical. Um, but Gordon Ramsay uses the words amazing and incredible to describe almost every other dish that is served and created on the show by the contestants who are competing on the show. And again, I know it's like not, I don't mean to rat on Gordon Ramsay. What the heck? I'm sure he's a lovely gentleman,
Yeah,
but it's
he's actually gonna listen to this episode as soon as I publish it. So,
like, Kelsey Kimmel will never be allowed in one of my restaurants ever again. And I'll be like, you're
and
right.
then he'll like come to Hell's Kitchen and then like what does he do? Like your stupid sandwich? I don't watch his.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like he'll throw the prop food in my face, and no. So but he uses amazing and incredible to describe literally every other thing. And I just feel like it kind of cheapens the meaning of the words, and it sort of cheapens the creations that the contestants are making in
Mhm.
terms of food. So that's why.
Yeah.
It's because of Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay just ruined it for you. Okay, what turns you on?
In what context?
So when James Lipton used to ask the question, he
Yeah.
always said, "What turns you on?" But in this thing that I found, the full question is, "What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?"
It's like it's realness. It's like grounded, rooted honesty. We encounter a lot of performative people, experiences, natures in this industry. And there's a, I'm a people pleaser. We are all trying to be like amicable and cheerful and yeah, it's there can be a performative nature that comes along with those things. And I just think that like the more real we can be, the more the sense of self that we can find. Those are the things that really, really interest me. I'm not like a small talk person. I'm like a deep conversation person. I want to get to know people and their experiences and their life. And I also am a very, I'm a very joyful, like in the people pleasing of it all. Like I am naturally a joyful person, but it's not like a toxic positivity joy. It's like a real rooted, like I strive to find the silver linings and the things that we really can focus on to get us through the day, frankly. And it's those kinds of things. It's like the realness.
What turns you off?
Well, the fakeness, the sort of performative put on. If I feel like I'm having trouble trying to find the person,
Hmm.
like if I feel like I have to pull the covers away and really kind of like sift through to be like what, where's the person, where's the individual in all of this? And we all are subject to it. It's, we get bogged down by experiences in life and the world and whatever. And it's like we're trying to put on a mask to like get through the day. But yeah, I'm a firm believer in human first behavior and not gravitating towards people because of who they are or what they've done or who they know. Again, the like performative sort of mask of it all. It's like who are you? Like where's the person? Where's the human? Who's the thing that I can connect with?
What is your favorite curse word? Oh, I love that. Oh,
I gave a little listen, we gave a little pose.
oh,
Well, my favorite curse word is in fact fuck. I love the word fuck in all forms. There you go.
I
And I
say it
get
daily.
and I get to say fuck a couple times in Hell's Kitchen, which is very gratifying.
Great. What is okay, that's not right. What sound or noise do you love?
Ah, sound or noise do I love? That's a great, great question. I love the sound of my Nespresso, like brewing coffee. I love the sound of diced vegetables going into a hot pan of olive oil. Maybe those are just Pavlovian things because that means that I'm about to be nourished in some way. But yeah, like the brew of a coffee and like the sizzle of food in a pan is very exciting to me.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Oh gosh. I mean, New York City provides so many of them, sirens and ambulances and fire trucks and, just I do get very easily sensory overloaded, which makes living in New York City a challenge sometimes. But yeah, just anything that's like very loud and aggressive like that makes me
Yeah.
flinch out a little bit.
I don't get like that, but there was one time I saw Moulin Rouge, and then when I left, they had all of those pedicabs with the lights and the music, and
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
the
They
sensory overload that I got in that moment was so much, and I've never experienced that before.
They
But
do that at Hell's Kitchen, of course. You come out after a performance of Hell's Kitchen, and they're blasting Empire State of Mind. They're blasting Girl on Fire,
yeah,
and it's like, okay, you want to. They're banking on tourists to come out and be like, oh my gosh, we just had this experience at the Alicia Keys musical. We just saw Moulin Rouge, and now there's a bike
yeah,
outside blasting Lady Marmalade. Let's take that home. Like, okay, but it is pretty insanely obnoxious for the rest
yeah.
of us.
I think there was like a law or something that they want to put into place, or they did, where they can't be outside of the theaters anymore.
Oh, okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're right.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. What profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
So I really truly wanted to be a paleontologist when I was younger, like when I really thought that I was going to go to college to study science or biology or whatever. My favorite movie of all time is Jurassic Park. the entire franchise, but the original in more specifically. And if I could picture myself digging in the dirt in the Badlands, like Laura Dern did, and that's what I would, well, for whatever reason, love to do.
What profession would you not like to do?
Probably something in healthcare, like physical healthcare. I really, really struggle with seeing and hearing people in physical pain. And the human body is so complex and crazy, and it freaks me out if I think about it too hard. So I think that I
It's,
would really fail horribly if I ever had to work like in a doctor's office or a hospital. Literally like medical dramas, I can't even
yeah,
watch because they just freak me out.
yeah. I was going to say, so let's move on quickly. So, as Mr. Lipton used to say, and finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would love to hear him say that I did a good job. I would love to hear him say welcome and, good work. That I was a good friend and family member and good at what I did, and that I did it well and that I did it with care.
Well, as someone who has you on the podcast, I think you're doing amazing. Oh, see, I just did it. I just did it.
Amazing. You're doing amazing,
You're
sweetie.
doing so amazing, Kelsey, in Hell's Kitchen. Your pond ball, like, it's so great. It's incredible.
Incredible and amazing.
Incredible. No, well, I think you're doing a great job. There we go. Trying to think of another word other than amazing.
See,
Because when
now it'll
you
stick
said
in
that,
your
I'm like,
head.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
I've said that a couple of times. What's
you
another
too.
word for amazing? You're doing fabulous. Here you go.
Fabulous.
You're doing fabulous. I think so. Like I
Remarkable.
said, as I embarrassed you in the beginning of the podcast, I'm going to do it again now. You have just such a beautiful richness to your voice that I truly love. And like anybody who knows me knows that I love like a really rich singing voice. So I'm so happy that you came on the pod and you chatted. Is there anything you want to put out there? Life advice, what's going on with you? If, see Hell's Kitchen, if you want people to follow you on social, if you
Yeah.
want them to like look at your dance reel. So
Full circle with the dance reel. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. I want to say thank you for having me. Thank you for being so kind and supportive and saying lovely things. Thank you to those who are
amazing
listening.
things, amazing things,
Amazing things.
amazing
Um,
things.
Thank you to those who are listening. And yeah, I mean, I guess like my advice to anyone who wants to do this or is going is going for this, is pursuing this, just keep going, keep showing up,
Mhm.
keep going. You never know what's around the corner. You hear all of those crazy stories about actors who had 36 cents in their bank account and were getting ready to quit acting, and this is the last audition I'm ever going to do, and then they land a big huge job that changes their life. And while that might not be the exact case for a lot of us, you just never know what the possibilities could be if you don't first show up and try. So I always tell people just to keep going. If you want it, if you believe in yourself, if you have the capacity, go for it. Because you'll never know what could have happened if you didn't.
Yeah,
And yeah, if you want to come see Hell's Kitchen, come on down to the kitch.
yeah,
I put, people ask me all the time, when oh, do you have dates? Do you have scheduled performances? And currently the answer is no, but I do keep my Instagram very actively apprised of whenever I get the word that I am going on, which most of the time is same day, a couple hours before the show. I will always post on my Instagram stories, and I have a broadcast channel that you can subscribe to get message blasts. It's basically like a big group text thread that allows me to update people quickly and efficiently for when I'll be on stage at the Schubert Theater.
I'm trying to find your handle. Let's see if you're quicker than I am.
Oh, my handle is just my first and my last name, Kelsee, Kelsee, Kimmel, Kimmel,
With
on
two
the
E's then.
Instagram.
It's on the Instagram. Well, Kelsey, Thank you again so much for coming on. You can stay on once we're done recording. Thank you all for listening. Go see Kelsey whenever she's on it, or just go see Hell's Kitchen and support it. It's a really great
Yeah,
show.
it is a really great show. And
Yeah,
I always say too, there's nothing more fragile than a new musical on Broadway. And Hell's Kitchen has done really well. We are really lucky.
yeah,
But in order for it to continue doing really well, we still need people to come and see us. So if you haven't seen Hell's Kitchen, come see us.
yeah. And I will say, like, doing merch there, people leave the show just like loving everything and even exiting the stage doors while the amount of people who are at the stage door too. It's so
Yeah.
great. I
Yeah.
love seeing the excitement that people have with theater. Like it gets me excited. And so then that's what's so great about Hell's Kitchen too, especially like after Pawn It All when they're like,
Oh
yeah,
my gosh, it's a really cool experience.
yeah. All right, everyone, thank you for listening and bye.